Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Computer Wednesday, I'm going to talk about Windows 11. So let's dive right into it. Now, first thing we have to understand, Windows 11 is a kind of big deal simply because Microsoft themselves came out and said Windows 10 will be the last, and now they are breaking their word. Now that's a very big deal simply because if a big company keeps changing their word again and again, it reduces their stock value. So you want people's trust to not fall apart. So that's a very odd thing, and they have already declared a deadline for Windows 10, which is 14 October 2025. So that is really bad, and I will explain why that is so bad. This puppy is supposed to be launched in June 20 basically 2021, so basically few weeks from now, and people will get it at different times. Some people will get it early, some people will get it late, but this month you should start to get it. Now there are many small changes from user interface and moving the placement of taskbar and all that jazz, but there are also core level upgrade, and let's talk about it. Now, why company is doing this? Why, if they claimed such a big thing, why they are changing it? Well, reality is there have been some big marriages in the industry. For example, iOS and Mac marriage, that was very significant. Like, think of it this way: people don't use operating system, people use tools inside that operating system. For example, let's say you want to download image from satellite. If the app is available on Linux only, you're gonna use Linux. If that app is available in let's say Windows, you're gonna use Windows. So that's simple as that. Like, many people are like, dude, I don't like a Mac OS, I use it simply because Final Cut, whatever the case may be. So same way, more and more young generation are jumping into iOS as their first device. Like, this is my mobile phone, I use this now. Mac realized that it's like, yes, there are many tools, amazing tools on Mac, but most of them are very expensive. But if you can do like good enough job in your mobile OS, why would you want to utilize Mac? So they are like, what if you can utilize big screen on mobile apps? Ta-da! So this marriage is very significant for Apple ecosystem, where they're like, no, our ecosystem means our ecosystem. You can utilize everything cross-platform. So that is amazing. So this is a very big thing. On top of that, Android also got married to Chrome OS, because Chrome OS, when it started, it was a very simple thing: a laptop, bare minimum, which is just a browser. So started from that. Now it's like, what if we add this? What if we add this? What if we add the whole app ecosystem? That changes everything, because at that point in time, you can buy a giant tablet, because even though tablet was not very successful when it comes to Android, Chrome OS is very successful. Chrome OS in a laptop system, very long battery life, and if all you do is like web browsing and light workload, you can enjoy that. So that also changes the thing. So slowly, what does that mean? That simply means their market share is going down. Now of course they are still in like beyond 90%, so they are like, we are good, we still have few years left, but they are noticing a dip. That is a very critical aspect. And another aspect is that dip is not happening because Mac OS is taking a big enough chunk. It's happening because Chrome OS is like, a big chunk is like, whoosh, they took it. So that's why these marriages are a very important thing. On top of that, at this point in time, even low-end phone like Samsung F62 that I have is becoming idiotically powerful. What does that mean? That simply means this puppy has 8 GB of RAM, which I'm utilizing, and I have successfully, like on this 4K TV, I have done wireless Chromecast to this, and utilizing Xbox controller, I'm gaming on it. I'm gaming on this big TV wirelessly utilizing my mobile phone, and the graphics quality is almost same level as like Xbox 360. So let that sink in. This sort of thing was unheard of. Now it's like, I am doing it. So fundamentally, if you can find a phone that has MHL, or find a system where you have a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse, you can right now, if all you do is rely on web browser, you can just have a monitor, basically your TV, and your phone acting as a CPU. Done. People will not need to buy Windows. People will not buy from Dell or HP or whatever manufacturer. Like, that's a very big market chunk that is like going away. Now it will not happen slowly, but it will directly translate to new people not buying it. So that's a very big deal. Then x86 is no longer the dominant that it used to be. x86 in the early days, like, I am God, there is no competition, flat out. ARM is for children. ARM is for making your remote control. Servers run on x86, but that has changed. At this point in time, even Microsoft acknowledged that they have built a processor with basically Qualcomm called Microsoft SQ1, which was like an ARM system on that. So you can design an operating system, or you can design just the chip, but it would be much better if you can design both of them in together. So that's why Windows 11 was from day one designed in such a way that it should be much easier to port to ARM architecture, and Microsoft themselves are working on making the chips itself. So this allows them like a clean slate, so to say, where they're like, let's start how to integrate ARM better. Another aspect is market share. That's, at the end of the day, it's all about market share. They did try to compete against Amazon in terms of web market. They did not succeed as much. Like, they are still making a lot of money. They are still $2 trillion company, but they are not printing money as they used to. So it has to be done. It's no longer like we can coast off our, like, no, Chrome OS will slowly go. So that is a very critical thing. So this PC plus phone is the biggest impact for most people, simply because Windows should allow to Android app run directly, flat out. It's like, for example, Instagram does not work on PC. It's like not designed for that. You can view it, but you can't upload it. It's like inherently, like, yes, you can bypass through this or that or all that jazz. You should not need to do that. So that's the whole point. That's what basically Microsoft is selling. It's like, buy a Samsung phone, buy a Samsung laptop. Tada, they're both the same, simply because think of it this way: there are many things that you can do on your phone that you can't do on your tablet, basically Windows laptop. For example, easy touch up, like you take a photo and you just like, I just want to use my finger to draw on it. Good luck with that. Unless you have Wacom, good luck on it, even though it has touchpad, and even though there are many laptops that have touch screen. But what if you can port the apps that support that on a big screen? Done, problem solved. That's why this marriage is very critical. Now this marriage directly goes against the marriage of basically Android and Chrome OS. So Amazon is like, I shall help you with it. So Amazon is like our web store, which we are still supporting, is not making a lot of profit. But if Windows starts to act like as a device manager for it, they're like, that's a big market. So the Android apps will be directly utilizing Amazon services. So I'm pretty sure big apps will be like easily ported. Like big apps, it's a like few million people are using it, that will be instantly ported. That won't be an issue. It's just niche apps, like if you're utilizing this app or that app, that may have hard time. But most of the apps, big apps should be ported very quickly. That's why they are showing with TikTok and like Instagram. These are big apps. So the big apps, they are like done. Now, if done correctly, it should allow seamless switching. Now, be very mindful, this will not happen on day one. This will take like at least 1 year before it's like, no, this is a thing that I can utilize with my eyes closed. Right now, it will like it kind of buggy, glitchy, but it will take time. So that's why this aspect of the system is very important. Then we come to core aspect. Now, core aspect is it should support for big little core architecture of x86. Now, x86 are going through a change simply because their market share is no longer as dominant as it used to be, given the fact that servers are now utilizing ARM processors. That is a very big thing. This was like, server was like, dude, ARM is for children playing Android. For big boys, you use x86. That is no longer the case. Heck, even ARM holdings itself is no longer safe, simply because there is a RISC-V architecture slowly coming up. So fundamentally speaking, things have changed. So Intel is trying to make what we call big little cores. So they're gonna have big sunny core and they're gonna have big small cores. A lot of small cores, pardon me, a lot of small cores. And the benefit of that is like small cores will be optimized for doing small little things quickly. Again, they will be like, okay, let's say check your Wi-Fi, check your email settings. Like basic notification will be handled by the small cores. When you do video rendering, it's gonna utilize the big system. Now, is there a benefit of this? Absolutely. It's like right tool for the right job. So small cores can do a lot of small tasks for much little wattage compared to big ones. That's why, like right now, anybody who's playing any games, they know for a fact that your CPU is most of the time idling. It has too much power. It's not utilizing enough. Now, rather than having like 16 cores, 30 cores, or 58 cores, they will be like, okay, we're gonna have few small cores that's gonna be active all the time. That's gonna handle all the Windows background tasks, and then we're gonna have some big cores which will be off most of the time. So it will keep the temperature down, keep the power draw down. But when you fire up the game, those big cores like, I got this. And instead of a programmer having to write or something that switches to like 8 cores, 12 cores, 16 cores, they're like, okay, only few big awesome cores. So that's kind of amazing. So this should allow native ARM support also. Like Windows is also working on that behind the scene. Now, if this turns out successful, it could allow Windows tablet or maybe even Windows phone properly. This time it won't come from Microsoft side, it will come from some manufacturers. Like, this is a phone like structure that is like Windows running Windows. Oh, it can also make phone calls. So that's why it's kind of amazing. Now, if done correctly, it should allow basically Microsoft to be on the same footing as Apple M1. Now you may be like, hey, isn't M1 idiotically optimized? Isn't Mac OS like super optimized? Yes, but that's also a bad thing. For example, why the heck iOS took so long to do basically multiple apps on the same screen? Simply because they were optimizing the RAM, meaning RAM data was compressed onto the RAM. It's like if your RAM's space was 700 MB, they will compress it to 400 MB and then put it on the RAM. That's why you get such an amazing performance on such a low RAM device. Side effect, you can't expand it. Like expanding that data takes processing power. So it's like, yeah, you are saving one part but compromising on the thing. Android could not do that. So they are like, what if we put YOLO amounts of RAM? What if even basic phone has 8 GB of RAM? Benefit, you can have like 2 apps, 3 apps, 4 apps open together. Like the biggest issue at that point in time would be like having screen real estate, and Samsung knows this. That's why Samsung Desk is like trying to give you screen space. Like the biggest limitation of modern mobile phones is not processing power, not the capacity. It's just the goddamn UI interface. It's like UI is not meant for like having 15-16 apps. Like UI is supposed to design for 2-inch screen, 4-inch screen, 6-inch screen, not 55-inch screen. So if done correctly, utilizing unique blend of Microsoft, it should stand like at least in the same field. It won't be like as amazing as M1, but it would be like more powerful as like how it always has been. So I would urge all of you guys to wait, apply some serious breaks, and do not rush on it. And specifically if your system that you are thinking about, hey, I want to switch it to basically Windows 11, if it's a workstation, do not think about it. Don't even dare to think about it. It's like, it's a workstation, it's a reliable system, do not touch this. Flat out, nope, don't think about it. Another aspect is Microsoft is doing something very shady, is like they are utilizing trusted platform module. Now this system, it's kind of old system. It allows secure boot. It has been running in the server industry for a very long time, so you may already have a basically motherboard that has a TPM port, and a company that also is like Asus, you can buy that TPM module, MSI, you can buy TPM module. You may already have this, but here's the deal. Microsoft is like, what if we do extra hula la on that? So not only you need this, you need a processor that is supported for that. Now here's the deal. The TPM was independent of processor. That's why server industry implemented this. That's the whole point of having extra chip. But they're like, no, that's not good enough for us. Not only you have to have that, modern motherboards already have that. You also have to have this and that, and also have to have Intel 8th gen systems. It will not work on 7th gen, even if your motherboard has this and this. So fundamentally speaking, right now it's unclear whether Microsoft is really gonna stick to it. Now if you want to understand why they were doing this, well, the benefit is it will force them basically every large utilization of system, basically schools, colleges, institutes, offices, they have to switch, and they, in order to switch, they have to buy new systems. So for that reason, they're like, okay, all the Dell will sell more computer sold, more money made for Microsoft. Because while Microsoft will give a free update, most of the update will be rejected simply because tada, your system does not support it. So people have to buy it from Dell, HP, Lenovo. These companies will start making money simply because even if you have bought a system 1 year ago or 2 years ago, you have to be like, either I need Windows 11 or I need new computer. So that's a kind of a very big thing that you have to understand. Another aspect is first few months would be bad. Do not think anything otherwise. Like I will reference a big YouTuber, Barnacle, Nerdgasm guy. Now if he's true, if he's because he has actually worked on Microsoft, he's flat out is like Microsoft no longer has a division for bug fixing. It's like they used to have a division where they had multiple system configuration and they were running their systems, and then they sort things out. So at least there won't be a huge ass bug where it's like, oh no, your file is being deleted on the system. That kind of bug won't be there. It will be sorted before they launch to public. Now they have decided, we're just gonna fire it and let people be the bug tester. So first few months, do not expect anything to be good. And another aspect is I've been using Windows for a very long time, as in like Vista and 7 and XP also. I learned on XP. My first PC had Vista, then I switched to 7. Now XP was awesome, Vista was garbage, 7 was awesome, and you get the point. It's like only time will tell whether we're gonna be in the good cycle or bad cycle. Another aspect is the new user interface. Because they are changing so much things, the apps that are running, like I'm talking Adobe Premiere and all that, they will also have a issue integrating properly with it. And another aspect from gamers point of view, they want direct access storage. That's awesome, but here's the deal: the games have to be written for that. So many features requires external implementation. For example, the Android thing, there is no actual point of running Android basically apps on computer on big screen if the app does not have a way to detect it. Hey, I'm running on big screen, let's scale the UI elements. If it does not have that, it's kind of useless. So that is a very critical aspect. So these things require external support. If the outside market supports it, GG. If they don't support it, it was a good thing. It's like, yeah, it was a good thing, but does not mean too much. So that's why, like, you can easily notice it. Like, you can have SSD, your game still loads at the same speed. You can have NVMe SSD, which is like almost running at gigabyte, still loads only a bit faster. Why? Because the program was written with a certain limitation. So that is the biggest limiting factor. So do not expect us like, oh, I'm gonna have direct storage, now my RAM can directly talk to NVMe and my GPU can talk to NVMe directly. That will not happen, simply because still the program will not be expecting it. Program is like, yeah, read from CPU will like read from RAM will be read from hard drive. So you have to understand it. Implementation must matter here. So I would urge you, if you are serious about your computers, if it's a work, like of course you want to experiment, go YOLO on it. If it's a serious thing, do not touch it. So this was my presentation on Windows 11. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.